stories in Rock Hill sports this year, in South Carolina sports this year. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they are this mid-major power that has kind of been thrust into the nation's consciousness this year, just purely because they've been winning a lot. You asked me about this year's, you asked me about, how they won and like, what can I say about their Big South tournament win? Well, that whole process started last year when they won the Big South tournament championship, got an NCAA bid. We're one of the few teams that got an automatic qualifier, and they didn't get to cash that out, obviously, because coronavirus kind of obviously canceled the NCAA tournament and canceled life as we know it. So yeah, that's where that story begins. And then Winthrop goes on an absolute tear. They end up winning 21 straight games stemming from last season. So they sustained a 21 game winning streak, ended up losing one 2-point loss to UNC Asheville, an uncharacteristically low game, 52-50 at their place. And I wrote that it was a disaster. It might not have been. Clearly it wasn't, because Winthrop was able to kind of regroup, recharge. And they then again didn't lose throughout the rest of the Big South tournament, including their last two regular season games. And in the Big South tournament, no games were even close. All of them were over 20-point margins of victory. So they weren't really tested in the Big South tournament. And I think when you ask about the Big South tournament, you have to look at Winthrop's total season to kind of get that full story.
So can you kind of go into that total season in terms of what led up to that point?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you mean going deeper than the wins and
that
sort of thing? Yeah. Well, I think the first place you have to start is their lineup. They're unique, and that's really frustrating for me to say, as someone who I know I'm young, but the word unique, I think, is overused in sports, particularly when you talk about teams and that sort of thing. But Winthrop is genuinely unique, I think, purely because they play 11 guys, and that is really weird at the Big South level. It's really weird in pretty much all mid-majors. I mean, Georgia Tech just won an ACC championship, one of the premier conferences, and they play like 7 dudes. So the fact that Winthrop can be successful playing 11 guys is really cool. Of those 11 guys, there are a few notable ones. One, and this is the dude that you'll probably hear, he'll probably command some headlines in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. His name is Chandler Vaudrin. He's this 6'7" lefty, creative passer. He's got the facial hair going. And so he's super entertaining to watch. He leads the team in 4 categories in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. Points 12.2 a game, rebounds 7.2 a game, and assists 6.9 a game. He actually is also the nation's leader in triple doubles, and that's kind of wild. When I say nation's leader in triple doubles, he has 3 triple doubles this year, and that's better than anyone else this year. And he's also the player with the most, or how do I say this? He is the player. He has the most triple doubles of any active player in all of NCAA basketball. So in other words, for his career, I probably jumbled that, but that shouldn't take away from the fact that Chandler Vaudrin is a beast, and he commands and he dominates every statistical category, it seems like. So he's your 6'7" point guard. And then your backup point guard, who is one of your other impactful players on the team, is this dude named Russell Jones, and he's 5'8". So, and he throws out a completely different package at you. He's really fun to watch. And one last unique thing about Winthrop is they have all the shooters like all your other Big South teams, but they also have an inside presence, and that comes from this dude DJ Burns. DJ is the highest ranked recruit to ever land at Winthrop. He went to Tennessee, and he's a Rock Hill native. Went to Tennessee while Tennessee was the number one team in the country. Redshirted there and transferred back home, and now he's leading Winthrop to 2 consecutive Big South titles. I know I just threw a lot at you, but that is kind of this Winthrop team. They are everywhere, and it's been really fun covering their rise.
So you mentioned how, they're very unique and they're very deep. They play with 11 guys and they kind of blew through their conference tournament. So now let's talk about the matchup with Villanova. What kind of can you expect? Do you see Winthrop being that 12 seed that can upset this year?
Hey man, were you on Twitter last night?
Well, a little bit, yeah. I saw your Twitter.
Well, you're probably a little bit more tapped into a different Twitter than I am, because if you scroll on someone else's timeline and you're in a different world pretty much. But the timeline that I was in has Winthrop. I saw one national writer say it would be an upset if Villanova beats Winthrop this game. Now, I'm not sure if that's hyperbole, whatever. The point is that a lot of people think that, and a lot of people with credentialed opinions think that Winthrop has a real shot at beating Villanova. You ask about matchup. I personally, full disclosure, I don't know that much about Villanova this year. I do know that they are battling some attrition at the guard spot. They got their leader, Gillespie. He is out for the season. And I think they're also battling an injury at another guard spot, right?
I believe so. I forgot his name, but I know what you're talking about. They're banged up big time, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that all kind of plays into it, and I think that also gives Winthrop an advantage, or I'm using air quotes, if you want to look at it like that. But people also got to remember, and people get really excited when they see that 12 on your March Madness board, because 12 seeds have had such success against 5 seeds in the NCAA tournament and its history and whatnot. But Winthrop has only won 1 NCAA tournament game in its entire history. It has won a lot of Big South championships, and it's gone to the tournament several times, but it's only won 1 time, and that was in 2007 when Greg Marshall was there. It was just a like kind of a magical upset against Notre Dame, and that's still to this day one of the greatest sports moments in Rock Hill history. So a win is certainly on the minds and probably going to be on the brackets of a lot of people coming up this weekend. But people also got to remember, a win will be making significant history. So that's what I got to say about that.
Cool. Thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate all your time. You gave me some great insight. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Let me pause this.